You were taught that debt is bad. Your parents told you. Your school told you. Every personal finance guru on the internet has told you to cut up your credit cards, pay off your loans, and never borrow a single dollar you don't absolutely have to. And if you follow that advice your entire life, you will stay exactly where you are right now. Because here's what they never told you. The wealthiest people on this planet don't just use debt, they depend on it. Strategically, deliberately, like a weapon they've spent years learning to aim. The same bank that takes $400 from your paycheck every month in interest payments is handing a millionaire $2 million at 4% interest so he can generate $300,000 a year in passive income. Same bank, same debt, completely different outcome. The difference isn't luck. It's not even income. It's knowledge. And today, you're going to learn exactly what separates debt that destroys wealth from debt that builds it through 6 specific strategies that rich people use right now that most people will never even hear about. I'm going to walk you through each one, step by step. Not as a quick tip list, but as a real system. A way of thinking about money that once it clicks, you cannot unsee it. By the end of this video, you're going to look at debt completely differently. Let's get into it. Before we get into the 6 strategies, you need to understand one foundational concept, and it's the lens through which everything else in this video will make sense. There are 2 types of debt in the world. Liability debt that takes money out of your pocket every month. Car loans on depreciating vehicles. Credit card balances. Personal loans for vacations. Consumer debt. This is the debt your parents warned you about. And they were right. Debt that puts money back into your pocket. Or builds something that grows in value over time. Business loans. Real estate mortgages on income-producing properties. Lines of credit used to acquire appreciating assets. Most people only ever encounter liability debt. Rich people understand that asset debt, used correctly, is a multiplier. It lets you deploy resources you don't yet have to capture opportunities that won't wait for you to save up. Think of it like a lever. The same force applied to a longer lever moves a heavier object. Debt is the lever. Your strategy is the length. Now, here are the 6 ways rich people actually use it. Using other people's money to buy cash-flowing assets. Imagine you have $100,000 in savings. You buy a $100,000 rental property outright. Cash. No debt. Clean after expenses. You make $800 a month in rent. That's a 9.6% annual return on your $100,000. Not bad. And this is what rich people do. You use that same $100,000 as a down payment on a $500,000 property. You borrow the other $400,000 from the bank at 6% interest. Your mortgage payment plus expenses might run $2,800 a month. Your rental income? $3,800 a month. That's $1. $0 a month in cash flow. And you now control a $500,000 asset with only $100,000 of your own money. When that property appreciates 10% in 3 years, you don't gain $10,000. You gain $50,000 on your $100,000 investment. That's the leverage loop. You didn't earn more money. You deployed the same money further. You used debt as a multiplier to control a bigger asset than you could afford outright, and you let the asset pay off the debt while you collect the difference. Now, here's what makes this a rich person strategy rather than just a risky bet. The cash flow from the asset must exceed the cost of the debt. Always. That's the rule. If the rental income doesn't cover the mortgage and costs with a buffer left over, it's not an investment. It's a liability dressed up as an asset. Rich people are obsessed with that spread the gap between what the debt costs them and what the asset returns. They call it positive leverage, and they never stop looking for it. They aren't buying properties because they want to be landlords. They're buying cash flow. The property is just the vehicle. The debt is just the fuel. And once you understand that, the next strategy will hit you even harder, getting paid by the government to borrow. Here's something that sounds impossible the first time you hear it. Rich people often pay less in taxes by taking on debt than they would if they paid cash for everything. Let that sink in. In most countries, including the United States, the interest paid on certain types of debt is tax deductible. That means the government subsidizes your borrowing. Here's how this plays out in practice. You're a business owner. You take out a $500,000 loan to expand your business. You pay $30,000 in interest that year. That $30,000 in interest isn't just an expense, it's a deduction. If you're in the 37% tax bracket, that deduction saves you $11,100 in taxes, which means the government effectively paid $11,100 of your $30 zero interest bill. Your real cost of borrowing just dropped significantly. Now imagine doing this not just on one loan, but structuring your entire financial life so that your borrowed capital generates returns above the after-tax cost of the debt. This is called the tax arbitrage play, and wealthy people, especially business owners and real estate investors, run this systematically. They borrow money. They deploy it. The returns come in. They deduct the interest. They pay less tax on the gains. The spread between what they borrowed at and what they earned after tax benefits is often double what it looks like on paper. Meanwhile, someone who avoids debt, entirely pays cash for everything, takes no deductions, and hands a bigger percentage of their earnings to the government every single year. The irony of it is brutal. The person trying to be responsible with money ends up giving more of it away. The person in debt keeps more of what they earn. This is not a loophole. This is written into the tax code deliberately to incentivize investment and business growth. The system is designed this way. The question is whether you're going to use it. How billionaires access wealth without triggering tax. This one is the strategy that made headlines when people started asking how Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and other billionaires could have net worths in the hundreds of billions while paying relatively modest income taxes in certain years. Here's the answer. When your wealth is tied up in asset stocks, real estate, a business that exists on paper, you haven't paid taxes on it because you haven't sold anything. In most countries, you only pay capital gains tax when you realize the gain, meaning when you sell. So the wealthiest people in the world have a problem. They're rich on paper, but if they sell to access cash, they trigger massive tax bills. The solution? They don't sell. They borrow against their assets instead. Here's how it works. You own $50 million in stock. You go to a bank. You use your stock as collateral for a $5 million loan at 3-4% interest. You now have $5 million in cash, tax-free, because a loan is not income. You use that cash to fund your lifestyle, invest in new opportunities, or start another business. Your stock stays intact, still appreciating, still compounding. Eventually, when you do sell stock to pay back the loan, you can time it strategically, offset gains with losses elsewhere, donate appreciated shares to charity, or pass assets through an estate plan that resets the cost basis entirely. This is called the buy, borrow, die strategy. It's legal. It's common among the ultra-wealthy. And it's the reason why accumulating appreciating assets matters so much more than just earning a high income. Income gets taxed immediately. Asset appreciation doesn't until you sell. Debt secured against those assets gives you access to the value without ever triggering the tax. You don't have to be a billionaire to apply a version of this principle. If you own a home that's appreciated significantly, you can take out a home equity line of credit tax-free cash, secured against the value you've already built. The asset keeps growing. You access the equity. The tax event never comes. Cycling borrowed capital through multiple returns now. We get into how rich business owners think about debt differently than everyone else. Most people think of a loan as a one-time transaction. You borrow money, you use it, you pay it back, done. Business-minded wealthy people think of borrowed capital as working capital. Money that should never sit still. Money that should be cycling continuously through opportunities, generating a return at every turn. Here's an example. You have a line of credit for $200,000 at your bank. 7% annual interest. You draw $100, 00 from that line, and use it to purchase inventory for your business. You sell that inventory within 60 days and make $140,000. Your profit, $40,000. Your interest cost for 60 days at 7%, roughly $1,150. Net gain, $38,850 in 60 days, on money that wasn't even yours. You immediately use that $140,000 to buy more inventory. Repeat, in a year of cycling that capital 4 times, you've generated over $150,000 in profit from a line of credit you never even fully drew down. That line of credit, that debt, was the engine. Without it, you're limited to whatever capital you have on hand. With it, you're operating a wealth machine. This is why business owners talk about return on invested capital differently from salary earners. They're asking, what can I do with X of borrowed money that returns more than the cost of borrowing? If the answer is more than the interest rate, the debt pays for itself and leaves profit behind. The velocity of money is about how quickly and how often you can make your capital productive. Debt, when deployed intelligently, dramatically increases that velocity. Why fixed debt becomes a gift when prices rise. Here's a way of thinking about debt that almost nobody teaches, but every serious wealth builder understands instinctively. Inflation is your enemy when you're holding cash or working a fixed salary. But if you hold debt, specifically fixed rate debt, inflation is quietly working in your favor. Here's why. Fast forward 10 years. Inflation has averaged 4% a year. Everything costs more. Salaries have risen. Rents have risen. Your property is worth significantly more. But your mortgage payment? Still $1,347. That $1,347 payment in real purchasing power terms is smaller than it was in 2020, because $1 in 2030 buys less than $1 in 2020. You're paying back the bank with cheaper dollars. Meanwhile, your property's value has risen with inflation. Your rental income has risen with inflation. But your debt obligation hasn't. This is not an accident. Rich people deliberately take on fixed-rate long-term debt when they believe inflation will erode the real cost of that debt over time. They're essentially betting that the value of the asset and the income it produces will outpace the fixed obligation to the bank. History, at least over long periods in most Western economies, has proven that bet correct far more often than not. The middle class hoards cash. It erodes. The wealthy hold assets and hold debt. The assets rise with inflation. The debt stays flat. The spread between them grows over decades. This is wealth creation in slow motion. Most people miss it because they're too focused on eliminating debt to notice the math working in their favor. Building a debt infrastructure that unlocks bigger opportunities, the last strategy, isn't a single move. It's a system. And it's the one that separates people who occasionally use debt strategically from people who have built a machine that keeps compounding for decades. Rich people treat their creditworthiness as an asset. They architect it deliberately. They think of their access to capital credit lines, investment loans, business credit, real estate financing as a second balance sheet, one that doesn't show up in their net worth calculation, but that funds everything they build. Here's what this looks like in practice. You start young. You build excellent personal credit, high score, long history, low utilization. You're not doing this to buy things. You're doing this to establish a track record with lenders. You open a business entity and build business credit separately. This allows you to borrow in the name of your business, protect your personal assets, and scale your borrowing capacity independently of your personal profile. You build relationships with multiple lenders, community banks, credit unions, private lenders, not just the big national banks. Relationships matter in credit. A local bank that knows you and your business is often more flexible than an algorithm at a mega bank. You structure your assets and income in ways that maximize what lenders want to see. Consistent cash flow, low debt-to-income ratios, collateralizable assets. Over time, you create what wealthy people quietly call their debt architecture, a layered system of credit facilities at different rates, for different purposes, that you can draw on when the right opportunity appears. You're not borrowing randomly. You're maintaining optionality, the ability to move quickly and at scale when the right deal shows up. The person without this architecture sees an opportunity and has to save up. They're too slow. The deal is gone. The person with this architecture picks up the phone, draws on their line of credit, and closes in 48 hours. That speed is a competitive advantage. That leverage is a wealth accelerant. And it only exists because they spent years building the infrastructure before they needed it. Let me bring this full circle. You came into this video having been told that debt is dangerous, something to avoid, something to be ashamed of. And in the hands of someone without a strategy, it is. Liability debt, used to fund consumption, destroys wealth. That version of debt your parents were right about. But the world's wealthiest people aren't avoiding debt. They're using it like a precision instrument. They're leveraging it to control assets they couldn't afford outright. They're using it to reduce their tax burden legally and systematically. They're borrowing against appreciating assets to access cash without triggering tax events. They're cycling it through businesses to multiply returns. They're holding it against assets and letting inflation erode the real cost. And they're building entire credit architectures that give them speed, scale, and optionality that most people can't match. None of this requires you to be rich already. It requires you to think the way rich people think about money. And the moment you start seeing debt not as a sign of financial failure, but as a tool with a right use and a wrong use, everything changes. The bank isn't your enemy. Liability debt is. Asset debt, used with discipline and strategy, is one of the most powerful wealth-building tools in existence. Now you know how to use it. If this video changed how you see money, share it with one person who still thinks all debt is bad. They need to hear this. And if you want to go deeper into the wealth systems and financial psychology that most people never learn, subscribe. We go deeper every week. I'll see you in the next one.